And remember, we do philosophy through pop culture here. And if you're not sure what that means, it means that whatever you assume we're doing here, we're not. Listen, in preparation for these stories, specifically the first one, I went on Reddit. And if I understand anything about these bubbles, it's that they think the world revolves around how they do stuff. And this is why when certain people try to get involved and make commentary and try to add a different perspective, they do not know how to react, right? So just a reminder, if you're coming into my channel and you're like, what does Brittany Simon do on the internet? What is she even doing here? I'm trying to do something different because obviously everyone keeps doing the same shit and it's not working. I don't know if these men have realized y'all keep trying to do the same shit and it's not working. You know, I was on, Reddit yesterday and I was on Reddit yesterday and I guess somebody had posted about me and I don't really use Reddit like that, but I was there and they were like, Brittany says she's more progressive than Hassan. Like, what does that mean? If you don't know, that's the point. If you think Hassan is the most progressive person you've ever met, you are absolutely delusional. Second, I was on Ethan's subreddit and the people talking about me, or the Snark subreddit or something, and they were like, Brittany Simon hates men. Brittany Simon doesn't like Ethan. She's so biased. I have been one of the most open-minded and compassionate people on this website, to the point, to my own fault. To a fault. Okay? As you guys know, I have overlap in some of these bubbles. You know what I love about YouTube is that it's reality TV, but like different. And the dilemma is like, I want to talk about reality TV, but I don't want to be one of the characters on the shows. And as somebody who's watching Perfect Match right now, I want to be like the person who talks about Perfect Match on a podcast. I don't want to be one of the contestants on Perfect Match. Okay? So it's like one of those things where I really think these bubbles really think they're the only world that exists, which plays into my philosophy around the concept of bubbles. Everyone thinks everybody else is closed off. We're all closed off. So the point is you have to recognize that everyone evolved, the same way as anybody else to this point, came to conclusions to the best of their ability with the knowledge they have. And we're all coming to different conclusions. But let me tell you, every time a man gets mad at me on the internet, I just know I'm doing something right. And I'm always proven right. Even if it takes a year or two, I am always fucking right. Even when I'm wrong, by giving these men a chance. My greatest crime will always be that I give men a chance. It is my biggest reputation, and my viewers know it. My biggest fault is giving men a chance. Because I always want to believe you are going to deconstruct your misogyny. I really believe that your gender doesn't dictate your action. But these political boys in these political bubbles, they always, you know what I'm saying? They play right into it because they rely so heavily on the misogyny to make their points sound. They rely so heavily on the insults and the escalation. They rely so heavily on creating more destruction to win. So yeah, I'm definitely more progressive than all these boys. But more than that, we exist outside of the construct of even progressivism itself. To be progressive is to say more than the status quo. But if we remain where we are as progressives, we will also become conservatives one day. You have to keep going. You have to keep deconstructing. You have to keep growing, okay? Chat says, will you still watch the Bonnie Blue documentary? We watched it with patrons. Channel 4 did this documentary about Bonnie Blue. It was crazy, very interesting. We watched it with Discord. Yeah, it was 18 plus. I'm not watching it on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like, it's a real documentary about her life. So we watched it. It's free. You can watch it. But we watched it on Discord because my Discord's 18 plus. So we can watch documentaries like that together. It was great. It was a really great discussion. We had a fabulous discussion afterwards. It was fabulous. Thank you to my patrons. Thank you to Discord members. Okay, let's check out the story because it has escalated once again. And I just think it's important to talk about. There's also a new Mormon show on the market everybody's talking about. So I think that'll be interesting, Let's go ahead and talk about it. Okay. We're going to use Phil to talk about it, though, because he's better at putting it together. Which, by the way, note to self, I was waiting to say Phil would talk about Ethan and Hassan, because remember that this is setting a different precedent for YouTube. That Ethan suing all of these content creators and doing what he's doing is exactly why the world doesn't get better. All of these boys are highly emotional, completely stunted, have not gone to therapy, have not done the work, never meditated in their life. And I was waiting for Bill to cover it. So now he's covering it. It's not a very long story, but it's something. Excuse me. It's something. And it has escalated, which is, it's a bummer to see. I'm not excited. I am annoyed that these men who rise to prominence, who have big viewerships, spend all of their time not helping. I'm annoyed and I'm disappointed, as per usual, with the standard. And we wonder why the world won't get better. Well, hello? Is this the best we got?
This is Hasan Piker, Ethan and Hila Klein, Destiny situation. It was one of the most requested stories over on the text line, and it's crazy. With many saying it's gone past the line of drama, and this is something else. And with this mix of podcasters and political commentators, there is more history here than what's happening now. This latest controversy appears to start when you had Hasan Piker making a remark that many believe targeted Hila Klein.
Any kind of violence that Israeli settlers or the Israeli military experiences in the West Bank is literally legal, okay? It is legal resistance against an occupying military force. I cannot repeat this enough. Israel is actually engaging in an apartheid, which is a crime in and of itself. Israel's doing a genocide in Gaza and an apartheid in the West Bank, 2 crimes in and of itself. And every type of armed resistance against both the settlers and also the Israeli occupying force in the West Bank. Doesn't matter if it's your favorite podcasters like Wife that participate in these raids. The violence that the Palestinians engage in an act of resistance against this illegal occupying force is literally legal.
Right, so it appears that he's talking in...
Okay, let's pause there because, so obviously this comment, and I think the issue and the reason I'm trying to grow up, the reason I tell you I'm trying to get away from these streamer bubbles, because I spent a year in them. Do you guys understand that I only spent a singular year in the Debate Bro bubble, and it has completely haunted me like glitter you'll never get off yourself after visiting a strip club? Like, I spent 1 year, 2022 to 2023, in this bubble, and it was the worst time of my career on YouTube. It was horrible. I was harassed nonstop. I was lied about, slandered about. People were just, I even became a worse content creator. My content became worse when I was in this bubble because you really do end up mirroring the people you're around. Let me tell you, it's hard not to. You're in a fight, you're escalating. So this comment from Hasan is a reflection of where the state of the bubble is, right? Like, it's like him making a quip, like, oh, your favorite podcaster's wife. It's a jab. But it's not a threat. It's a throwback to it's petty. Okay? Chad says the way you talked about that bubble feels like a century. The way the bubble won't let you forget feels like a century. These people act. That's why it was so mentally draining and so confusing to be in this bubble. I was there for 12 months and everyone acted like I had been there for 10 years. And so they were attacking me like you've been here the whole time. I was there for a year. Okay? And I got out relatively quickly compared to other people. But again, this is the problem with YouTube is you think this is going to be a safer space. You think people are going to be better. You think people are just going to be normal. And then you show up and you're like, oh, we're weird. But like, we're weird in different ways. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. Chad says, Brittany, yes, but should Hasan take those jabs? It's just not good for business, right? Do you mean good for business like in a capitalistic sense? What the fuck do I care about business? It doesn't, okay, when we hold people to a standard of ethics, we must first set the precedent for who is dictating those ethics, okay? So I don't care that Hasan is being petty. The internet is a petty place. What I care about is he sets himself to a standard. I don't think he's doing anything within his standard to betray his standard. The question is this where we want to go in terms of a direction? I don't know. I'm not in the bubble. This is not my community. This is what I'm saying. We are visitors. This is not my community. These are not my people. This is not my activism. These are not people who care about my problems or the problems of the people I care about, right? These are political people, and politics is about winning at any cost. This is not my bubble. I don't want to win at any cost. Okay? I want there to be a right and a wrong based off of harm reduction that we're moving towards. So going into Hasan's bubble, into his cultural bubble, it's just normal. It's not an expectation of something different. And yet there is a point of escalation. Ethan made it weird when he started going after content creators. That's not the standard. The standard of the bubble is we do not go after commentary channels. And the fact that Ethan is doing it, he is shifting the standard. Right? That's why it was so weird that he was doing that. And now with Destiny involved, Destiny shifting the standard. Wait until you see what he said. Okay? So there is a shift of the standard. But I want to remind you, because I know everyone thinks this is not my community. This should not be our community. These boys do not care about mental health, the future of America in any way outside of political like bubbles, which is why you have Destiny doing work for Israel and Hassan doing whatever Hassan's doing. But these men aren't thinking deeper than politics. They are not deep thinkers. They are shallow thinkers. That's why they're doing this content. And I'm saying that's fine under patriarchy. It's fine if you're working with the system, but it's very shallow. Okay? So again, I don't think Hassan saying this was out of character, nor was it that big of a deal. It's not that fucking deep. Okay? And also, Hila had a great opportunity to become the voice of a former IOF soldier who stood up for Palestine, and she decided not to be that voice. We know how we just watched this documentary about Iraqi, men who had gone to Iraq in the military and deeply regretted their decision. I mean, one even killed himself. You want to talk about regret? I see none of that from Hila. I see no desire of regret from her for the way she participated in that military force. And I'm saying that's why she's a target of criticism. Because basically, I feel like people are acting like you've never met a 60s hippie who hated the US military after Vietnam. Do you not understand that people do not like the military? That people see them as a terrorist organization, regardless of whose military it is? Do you not understand that a group of men with guns is scary? Do you not understand that, when we watched Love is Blind, there was a former military girlie on that show whose guy, Ramsey, remember Ramses, couldn't even look at her the same, realizing that she didn't quite regret her time in the military. You do not understand how the military is a very, very, you guys get so offended over Hamas. Now, imagine the military is like Hamas times 20,000. That's how people see the military, whether it's Israeli or US. And you are sitting here acting like you don't get it. Okay, you're upset about Hamas, and you'll never see me support groups of men getting together because you know they're wrong. Anytime a group of men get together, you just know it's wrong. Okay? And why? Because they haven't deconstructed. Let's be so for real. So again, when we have these conversations, we're not having the same ones. See, girls, if we were having the conversations with the boys, they wouldn't understand what I'm saying about groups of men getting together. They'd be like, what are you talking about? What does that matter? The fact that you don't think it matters that a group of men are getting together to say that they are the leaders, to say that they get to decide who gets to speak, gets to live, gets to vote, gets to act, you're not understanding that groups of men have destroyed the world time and time again. It is not groups of women. Groups of women, yes, are upholding the patriarchy, and they do participate. But in general, left to our devices, we're not the ones committing genocide. And this is a binary gender conversation. Don't even bring in the gender fluids, the non-binaries, okay? So yeah, I'm not excited about these groups of men getting together. So it just would have been nice if Hila had used this opportunity to speak out about her regret of interacting with the IOF and serving in the IOF and not spending her 30 days in prison or whatever she could have done. Instead, she goes on podcasts over the years bragging about her time in the military, which I know is standard. Listen to me when I say this. I know is standard. I know that it is standard to say thank you for your service and to act like the military and people in uniform are like the greatest people ever because they really sacrifice everything. But that is propaganda. It is propaganda, and anybody who's ever served in the military knows it's propaganda. Even if you don't want to say it because you want to keep your job, you know it's bullshit. And that's the dilemma. So that's what I would have liked to have seen from Hila, is just she could have used this opportunity to do so much good, and she just didn't. So yeah, I don't care that Hassan said that, because okay, and it's less harmful what Hassan did than what Hila has been doing. That's just a fact. Now, in an ideal world, we wouldn't even be in this situation, but we're not in that world. So now we have to do the best with what we can do with what we have available to us. Okay, let's go back to Phil now.
in general about current ongoing violence there, but the call out to your favorite podcaster's wife has gotten a lot of attention because Hila previously served in the IDF. And this also has a little extra background here. Hassan and Ethan and Hila have been very publicly at odds over their clashing views with Israel and Gaza, as well as just, a number of other things. But in the here and now, you had Hila seeing Hassan's latest remark and accusing him of calling for violence against her specifically, with Ethan then later echoing that, posting a video yesterday saying,
Why
It's like a ridiculous idea. That's so ridiculous.
even include a specific person who hasn't served in the military in 20 years?
Because it's a fucking petty jab, bro. Why are you thinking about it so hard? You act like you don't do that on a daily basis. Hassan wasn't obviously calling for violence. He's saying, listen to what Hassan was saying. Even if it's somebody you like, it's still bad. That was Hassan's point. He's saying, even if he's your favorite podcaster, his wife and what she did was bad. That's the point of what he was saying. Okay? And that's what people are not understanding. That's it. That's all Hassan was trying to communicate. Is like, even if it's your favorite, guys, this is what I'm trying to communicate. Even if you like him, it doesn't mean he's a good person. Even if you get along with him, it doesn't mean he's cool. Because that is how Trump wins. That's how these people get into office. That's how Andrew Tate rises to fame. He's likable. And because he's likable by people, just because he's your favorite doesn't mean it doesn't matter. Okay?
Why does he mix up past and present tense while he's discussing this? Is this a responsible use of his words and his platform? Don't you think that even if what you're saying is true and you meant only people on that raid would deserve violence, that invoking a specific person is really appropriate?
Violence is never the answer, right? Well, let me rephrase. Violence is rarely the answer. Obviously, violence is necessary, but 99% of the time it's not. We use violence way too loosely in the world. Way too loosely, okay? But I think it's really important to understand that the reason I stopped covering politics in the traditional sense is because I noticed that it didn't care about people. It didn't care about human lives. It didn't care about the planet. It didn't care about the goodness of the world. It didn't care about anything. It only cared about its bottom line. It only cared about money. It only cared about whatever. So yes, sometimes violence is necessary, obviously, whether it's eating meat or killing in self-defense or having an abortion or whatever. Life is a cycle. We are evolved animals on a planet. Okay? Like, we are an evolved species. But the thing is we're dealing with people with such different realities, people who believe in gods, people who think they're like talking to angels, people who exist in political bubbles where they don't even really understand the scientific backing of understanding you're an evolved animal. So they're like confused. There's like a confusion happening with these conversations. Violence, the fact that we're even here, the fact that Ethan and Hassan couldn't figure it out together is exactly my point. This is why I say I can't even figure it out with my own family. Of course, that's going to be the reflection of the world. Ethan and Hassan should have been able to figure it out. And the fact that they couldn't is why Israel gets away with what it does. It's why bad people get away with what they're doing. Because you claim to be good people and you can't even agree genocide bad. You know what I mean? Like really genocide bad. Not just like a little bit genocide bad. I mean like full chest, no ifs, ands, or buts, genocide bad. And that's the issue we're having. It's like they can't process that they are engaging and contributing to the escalation of what's happening. Like Ethan refuses to engage in a reality where he's contributing to the continuation and escalation of this genocide. Not to mention Destiny, who we're going to talk about in a second, who's also doing work for Israel, and promoting them and telling IOF soldiers, if you're going to do crazy shit, don't record yourself. Like, are we serious? That's why when Ethan and Hassan had their falling out, even though I have so much criticism of Hassan, he's more right in the situation, right? But more than that, what's really interesting is Ethan was backed by the worst people we know on the internet, and he didn't think that was a red flag. If the worst people you know are the only people backing you, you're probably wrong. And Destiny was one of those people. And so the fact that this is happening now is the point. So let's watch the story because it's going to escalate.
And true. And doesn't that have the risk for provoking the craziest people in your audience to think that maybe it would be a good idea to...
That's funny coming from Ethan, who literally his whole audience bullied certain people off the internet. I don't want to bring more heat to this person, but bullied people off the internet so severely that like you can't even enter into this scene without the threat of being bullied, harassed, because your fans think you're encourage them to go do it, whether it's Destiny's fans or Ethan's fans. Both are horrible. Okay, I will say Destiny has the worst fans, definitely. They're like the worst because Destiny believes in doxing. Destiny believes in harassing people. His audience also does. Ethan at least pretends not to, but he obviously does those things as well. Ethan has done it so many times, right? So we have to be careful about that. Chad says, is Brittany anyone else's source on H3? I will not give those fools my views. I mean, honestly, I try not to even pay attention to everything they do because it's just crazy every time. But isn't it such a testament to where things could have gone and where they ended up being? But look, this is a part of the audience's issue and fault. This is the whole I'm a Trisha fan, I'm a Tana fan. Like, why are you still fans of the worst people on the planet? That's the question. Why do we still make room for people to barely ever, like, yes, they got better. Yes, they're getting better, but they're not even close to where they should be before you start fanning them. They're not even close to the standard of where they should be before you're fans. And I say this as somebody who is always trying to give people the benefit of the doubt, but given how many opportunities they had to get better, like, they're still not even close to being where they should be before people are really standing them. And that's the same thing with any of these boys. Again, I also have a soft spot for people going through it, guys. I'm not a fucking monster. You know, I've been so compassionate to all of these people I talk about on the internet, time and time again, explaining their trauma, explaining how they got here, explaining why we're all struggling in the world. I've explained it 1,000 times. But at the end of the day, if you are paying for their shows, going to their concerts, buying their records, if you are giving them money, right, you have to think about why you're doing those things. Why are you doing these things? It's the same thing with the Taylor Swift phenomenon. Y'all hate billionaires until it's Taylor Swift. I hated her since she was before a billionaire because, like, it's bullshit. Can't you see the bullshit? Her being on the Trump podcasts, her and her guy, like the whole thing. I don't know why we're not paying attention, right? Why do we get distracted? It's like, okay, let's continue.
Kill my wife.
With that, then getting a lot of attention online, and even had the likes of Destiny discussing Hassan's comment in a chat, writing, I honestly think you could perfectly justify attacking/killing Hassan IRL for statements like this. With many then saying,
Pause. Just process that information. Process what, so this, okay, I just kind of learned about this because, again, I spent a year in this sphere. Okay, it will be on my record forever that I ever collabed with this boy named Destiny. It will be the worst thing I ever did in my whole career. And I did a lot, you know, I mean, I've learned a lot. Okay. He said, let me listen to that again.
A lot of attention online, and even had the likes of Destiny discussing Hassan's comment in a chat, writing, I honestly think you could perfectly justify attacking/killing Hassan IRL for statements like this.
What are you talking about? This is what I'm saying. Why are we doing this? Now, this is not that shocking coming from Destiny since he's docked people in the past, threatened people, called people. You know, I didn't know this stuff. I watched Ryan Beard's video on Destiny and I learned so much more about him that I never knew. Because again, we all end up collabing with people we don't do enough research on. It's a mistake we all make. It's horrible. But like, I'm not that surprised given the fact that he said he's pro-genocide, given the fact that, he did this he's recorded people without their consent, shared nudes, shared videos. The fact that he laughed when that guy died in the Trump audience, you know, and said like one less voter for Trump, that's crazy. Like, he obviously has been pretty horrible, right? But the fact that he still, so this chat that he is referencing is like his community's chat from my understanding. And it's like where he spills secrets and says stuff because he has no real friends, right? These are like his friends. And he has to like talk to his chat about inside thoughts he probably should have like not shared out loud. But the fact that he says it out loud and doesn't think about the repercussion, the fact that he is, even as a businessman, so bad at business that like, why are you saying this out loud? Where is your, like, he has nothing. But then it's so Trumpian of him too, because Trump did the same thing. If I go to New York and I shoot somebody, no one's going to do anything about it. It's so Trumpian. And honestly, he's a dad like Trump too. We all know that. Elon, Trump, Destiny, rich men who aren't active fathers, who are horrible partners, who cheat on their partners, who are abusive and horrible, all end up being the same kind of people. And that's what I'm saying. They're all the same category, you know? But like, why are we talking about escalation of violence? Why would you even write this? He's a 40-year-old man, right? 37? Wait, how old is he? 38? 37? He's old. Ethan is old. Do you guys see why I keep saying we got to grow up? Do you see why I keep telling you I need to grow up? I cannot be 40 years old and still acting a fool like this. This is so stupid. But this is men. When men get together in a group, all they know how to do is be violent because they're raised that way, because they're formed that way. And that's the problem. That's the problem. Okay. Peyton, thank you so much for joining memberships. I see you. Thank you so much. Chad says, Braid is a former insider, and please only answer if you're comfortable. Why is Destiny so obsessed with Hassan and can't let it go? Why Hassan in particular? Look, I don't know that much because, you know, I didn't really talk to this guy as much as people think I did. But for my limited understanding, it's just basic jealousy. It's like it's the same reason Ethan's obsessed. I genuinely think Ethan and Hassan are like those kids in high school who don't understand why Hassan is popular because I don't know they don't know this, but they don't know that Hassan is hot. Like, they don't understand, and I don't think Hassan understands it, and I don't think Hassan's viewers know it either. You know, if Hassan was ugly, you would not give a fuck about him as much. His pretty privilege does half of the lifting for him. And the fact that people don't know that is so funny to me. It is so funny to me that you do not understand how much it is in his favor that he looks the way he looks. Good for Hassan, right? I mean, those Turkish jeans and all that. But that's what I don't think people get it. That if you listen to what he's saying and you don't know what he looks like, girl, it is so basic. If you close your eyes and listen to Hassan, you know what I'm saying? Like, I cannot believe you guys think, you know, and then now Destiny, I'll tell you this about Destiny. People who don't know anything about Destiny just think he's the guy who debates MAGA people. People who don't know anything about Ethan just think he's the funny guy who covers TV shows. Right? So I think that the thing is like when you're chronically online, you have a different view of these streamers, but you got to understand the rest of the world, the people who generally make these people famous, just see them do one or two things and go, oh yeah, I like them. It was the Andrew Tate phenomenon. I remember when people said, I don't know why you have such a problem with Andrew Tate. And I was like, well, do you know about this? And they're like, no. And I was like, do you know about this? And they're like, no. And I'm like, do you know about this? And they don't know. They don't know, right? They don't know. Chad says, I think you're missing the point. Hassan is talking about colonial violence from a human rights perspective. Well, obviously. I'm sorry, was that not obvious? I guess we have to say it for people who might not know. Obviously, that's what Hassan is talking about. I'm sorry. I thought that was so obvious. You're right. I should have said it out loud. Hassan is obviously not talking about one-to-one people. He is talking about, he's literally been advocating for Palestinians. He's always talking about systems. Hassan is always talking about liberation violence or liberation action. Like, obviously, Hassan is not interested in one-to-one violence. He is talking about people who participate in systems of oppression as a collective group and don't understand that they're going to be on the wrong side of history. Obviously, if you don't know Hassan's work, that might have not been obvious. My bad. I should have just said that. Thank you, Chatter. It's like, obviously, Hassan isn't. So there's the distinct difference. Hassan is talking about systems. Ethan's taking it personal, and Destiny is going personal. So Hassan says systems of oppression, military forces, enemies, terrorists. Obviously. Ethan goes, he's talking about my wife. He wants to kill my wife. What? Nobody said that, stupid. And then Destiny goes, we should kill Hassan. Well, he didn't say that. I'm just being hyperbolic for the sake of the conversation. Okay? So obviously, it's like, what are you talking about? Yeah, that's the problem. Like, that is the problem. It's just a mess. That's what I'm saying. Like, you're being so messy. And they don't know it because they're not that smart. They're just smart enough to be interesting to people, but they're not really that smart. Like, Destiny isn't really, obviously he's not that smart. He's smart like in the capability way, but he doesn't engage with his intelligence. You know what I mean? He doesn't engage with the intelligence. That's why I say smart people don't have to be introspective. Like, he's obviously lacking introspection. You know this. I know this. Obviously, you can see it with his whole life. You could see it with the fact that I said, like, cheating is abuse and bad. And he was like, I can't believe Brittany said that about me. What do you mean? What do you mean? It is. And I stand by that. And I can defend it in every scenario. Go ahead. Try me. Okay? Chess says, why don't you think Ethan and Gila refuse to leave the internet like PewDiePie and MatPat? Is it possible that they're not that good with money, or is it ego? Well, in some ways, MatPat and PewDiePie, I don't know MatPat that well, and I haven't followed PewDiePie in many years, but it seems like they're really content with their lives. Like, they really love their life. I don't think Ethan loves his life. I think he loves his wife and his kids, but I don't think he loves his life. And Destiny definitely doesn't love his life. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you love your life, You turn off the computer and you know what I'm saying? Like when you love your life, this is work. But for a lot of these people, they make this their life. I think Ethan isn't fulfilled. He's not joyful. Ethan and Gila, they're not, I don't know about, I think that's the dilemma, philosophically speaking. We're so lacking in meaning. We're so lacking in our fulfillment that it makes sense that they would be struggling and then they would act out on the internet because of it, right? Yeah, Ethan is addicted to drama. Chet says straight up dopamine seeking through arguing. That's what I think is happening with all of these debate bros. So you remember when I was in the debate bubble, I would be on a panel and people would be yelling at me and I'm like, I would like sit there looking really confused. I don't get any dopamine from debating. I get zero anything from it. I get drained. If anything, I want to die. So I'm not the neurodivergent. And these people everyone's nerd. By the way, please pause. Everybody is neurodivergent in this space. Okay? Remember that. Remember that no one is neurotypical in this conversation. So remember that is playing a role. It is playing a role. Remember that. Remember that. Remember. It's so important that you remember that. So again, like we are engaging in behavior that the space makes you engage with to survive, which is why I say I'm getting out of the space. I don't want to be a part of this space. I don't want this to be my community. I do not want this to be the effort I make. You know what I saw about myself on Reddit, which was making me gag, is Brittany's an FD Signifier fan. So she's like, you can just tell she's a horrible person. If the biggest crime I have is being a fan of FD's work, even though I have criticism of his work, I'll take it. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, I will never support a man, but I will support some of the work a man does. You know what I mean? And FD does some good work. And so that's like, if that's the worst thing these Redditors can get on me, yeah, okay, you're right. Judge me in that way, because that means I'm doing good. Do you know what I mean? The fact that they think I'm a misandrist is so funny because I'm obviously not. I don't even believe in gender. Joke's on you. But okay, good. That means I'm pissing off the right people because I certainly don't want the misogynist on my side. You know? Chet says, do you think that Ethan is purposely reading malice? Hold on, let me check. Reading malice in Hassan's statement, or do you think Ethan does not realize how inappropriate he is being? Well, okay. And by the way, I'm not saying people are neurodivergent in this space because I'm making it up. They literally have said they've been diagnosed. So just FYI. And I'm autistic, so I get it. Like we're all here together. I get it. So like, I'm not saying anything. And Hassan hasn't said he's diagnosed ADHD or autistic, but he's pretty sure he is autistic. So like that could make sense to me. Do you think Ethan is purposely reading malice? So purposely reading malice is an interesting way to phrase that, right? Because how do you on purpose read malice? I think what you mean to say is Ethan seeing malice where there is no malice, or is Ethan looking for malice just to be angry? Right? I think these are different kind of narratives. So I think Ethan, and this is, okay, this is what our favorite therapist on the internet was trying to explain to Ethan before Ethan's community basically stalked him off the internet. Ethan is dysregulated. He's activated. Ethan is reading all these Reddit comments, all these Twitter comments. He's obsessed with the internet. It's not good for your mental health, no matter who you are. Okay? Even the horrible Joe Rogan doesn't read comments because it messes with your psychology, right? So when Ethan heard that, he was like, I can't believe you're saying I'm crazy. We're saying anybody in your position would go crazy. And we're saying, so you don't go crazy, stop reading the comments about yourself. It's not healthy. You were never meant to see this much feedback about yourself. Okay? You're not meant to see this much feedback. And so that's the problem that people aren't understanding, is that Ethan isn't insane. He is dysregulated constantly and therefore never grounding himself enough to really view the situation for what it is versus what he wants to and can perceive it as. Okay? So the dilemma we're having here is like, and then look, I want to encourage the audience. I want to encourage you, the audience, to also understand you're being petty. So one of the examples I've seen It's people making fun of Teddy Fresh because they hate Ethan now. Do you guys have your own opinions? Or are you just making fun of Teddy Fresh because you're petty? I don't have to go after a clothing line to go after their values. See, the thing is when we hate people, we make fun of the work that they do, even if we liked it in the past because we like them or we liked the work. And I'm saying make sure when you're forming an opinion, you know when you're being petty and when you really mean it. Okay, do you really hate Teddy Fresh? Or do you just hate that Gila owns it now? Do you really hate block colors? Do you really hate pastels? Are you really guys gonna hate on pastels that much? You know what I mean? You will never see me hate on pastels. Let me tell you, I love a pastel. But like, you don't have to criticize you have to be clear with yourself. And you might hate both. Look, chat's saying both. You can hate both, girl. But I'm asking you to be introspective because the world certainly isn't introspective enough. It's just, you don't want to be the conservatives girls that throw away your Keurig or your Coors Light because a trans person's on it. Do you? Do you want to be the conservatives that are like, I'm going to never drink Coors Light because a trans person was on it? Because that's what you're doing. Do you really hate the product or do you just not want to support the company? You know what I'm saying? That's what I want you to focus on. Because it will help you and it will help the world if we could get our shit together. You are right not to spend your money supporting companies you don't believe with. Dollar is king. You should do that. Okay? Under capitalism, use your money. Okay? But that doesn't mean you have to hate on the brand. Chet says, didn't we just do that with Elf? No, I don't hate Elf. I have no problem with Elf. I just won't support them because they're working with Matt Rife. But the product isn't the issue. The Elf product isn't the issue. Do you get what I'm saying? There's a difference. There's a difference between hating the product or pretending you didn't even like it in the first place versus having an issue with the company. Okay, so that's what you gotta focus on because the difference will make a difference in your own life. Like, man, I really miss meat, but I think it's better if we don't eat it. That's the argument. That's the argument with vegans, where people are like, "Oh, are you vegan if you miss meat?" Yeah, missing meat was never the part of being vegan. Like, being plant-based, being vegan has nothing to do on whether or not you miss meat. But people will say, oh, you must not really be vegan then if you miss meat. Because you're not getting it. You're not getting it. You're not getting it. Okay, back to Phil.
Many then saying that escalated the situation to a whole new level, and you had a number of people calling out Destiny for seemingly condoning violence. With Hassan then also posting, this sociopathic cult leader is actively telling his audience that it's moral to kill me in real life because I said Palestinians have a legal right to resist against an illegal occupying force conducting a raid. When anyone joins an occupying force and participates in a raid in a legally occupied territory, the occupied people have a legal right to defend themselves through armed struggle. With him then also addressing the Destiny situation in a stream on Sunday.
That's definitely actionable, I'm pretty sure. It's also weird that this guy gets to have a YouTube account. Like, that is a real death threat. What I'm saying is not a death threat at all. What I'm saying is what I'm saying is just what the law is right now.
You had Hassan arguing that he wasn't even trying to give an opinion, he was just discussing international law and acts of resistance. With Hassan then also claiming that many people were taking his initial remark out of context and that he by no means was trying to condone or encourage violence against Hila Klein.
There is no point where I have said violence against someone who is not actively in combat is permissible. I don't believe that. That is illegal. This is not, and also immoral. It's a big part of the reason why I also advocate against what Israel is doing. I have also specified that IDF veterans are not valid military targets. If someone were to attack Hila Klein right now, of course they should go to jail. What kind of idiocy is this?
So there you even had
Obviously. That's why you have to be clear. Self-defense, liberation, all of those things are different contexts. We should be more nuanced. As adults, we should know the difference. Okay, we should know the difference of when appropriate violence is necessary. Obviously, going after Hila would be crazy. It is never appropriate to do that. In the same way, it was never appropriate to celebrate the death of that Trump voter, the one that got killed when the bullet went for Trump. That's not okay. Chet says, then what was the point of saying podcaster's wife? It was a point to make it clear. It was slightly petty, but it was to make it clear, even if you like somebody, that doesn't take away their responsibility. He's saying, even if you like somebody, even if it's somebody you like, okay, even if it's your family member, they're still engaging in something bad. That's the point. He's trying to make a larger point. He's trying to hit your heartstrings. So you realize, in the same way that we are nicer to family members, we're nicer to people we like, we let people we like get away with bad action because we like them. He's saying, don't let people get away with things just because you like them. That's what he's trying to say.
Some who said, hey, I don't think that you were calling for violence against Hila, saying that it's at the very least very weird that you would bring up your former podcast partner's wife, right, in the context of what's happening in the here and now. Also, something you saw is that when people asked him, why are you addressing this? Asking him, why are you feeding into people dragging you into drama? He said,
So it has led to people issuing active death threats to their communities against me. So I think it's a little bit different than just like immature online gossip slop. At what point does it turn into like a real crime? I think this is the point where it has turned into a real crime. But
If Sneeko got kicked off YouTube for vaccination misinformation, then like, what are we talking about here? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't like this. It's one thing to be edgy, which I think we've all engaged with on the internet as streamers. Like, all of us have said edgy things. But calling out and saying this is a justifiable mood for violence, like, listen, the world is a violent place. The amount of comment sections I see on the internet that say, like, this is justifiable violence. You have the right to kill this person. You have the right to... We are too violent. And I am so not shocked because we're evolved animals on a planet, but I am so exhausted at how violence is the first thing we go to. It should not be tolerated. We should not be violent. We should not be advocating for violence. And so just even a casual conversation about like, this might be a justifiable reason to kill Hassan. What a ridiculous, horrible, horrible thing to say out loud. What a horrible thing to say out loud. And that's what I'm saying. Why are you even comfortable saying that out loud or to your audience as a content creator? No responsibility. This is why I say when you guys joke, when people say like, I hope Trump, I wish the bullet didn't miss. I don't make those jokes. I don't think we should be making those jokes. I think we should be very clear that for our own spirits, for our own like relationship with existence, wishing bad on people is not the answer. Justice does not have to be about punishment. I don't believe in punishment. We should want to liberate people from their trauma, liberate people from violence. We want to liberate people from violence. And the issue is that we are so eager to just move straight to violence. And again, this is a philosophy channel. This is a philosophy channel. So I'm asking you to find peace within yourself so that peace emanates out. Okay, I want that peace to be, I want it to be like a thing that moves outward from you. And we can't do that if we're not, understanding that like hate in your heart's not going to be helpful. And I remember being a person who hated people. Therapy really helped, obviously, but philosophical work was really the, it was like the chef's kiss of realizing that like hating people is not going to help liberate us. That doesn't mean we can't hold people accountable. Chet says, what's the difference between punishment and accountability? Punishment is to make people suffer. Accountability is to make things right. That's the difference. We always want to work to make things right. We do not want to make people suffer. And I understand if you're there, you're not at a healed place, you're still fucked up. I get it. I think we've all been fucked up enough to wish suffering on other people. That's because you're fucked up. And I know because I used to be fucked up. I used to be fucked up and I used to wish people would suffer for the way they hurt other people. And then I realized like that was never the answer. We do not want people to suffer. Okay? Chad says, I totally think he's calling for violence on Hila, considering he has freaks like Bad Empanada on his orbit. If he has one freak like that, his community has many more. I don't want to speak to Bad Empanada because I don't like his content, but I will say this, that I think Hassan's commentary is not Bad Empanada's commentary. Okay, they are not married. They are not a representation of each other. So Bad Empanada is responsible for the bullshit he puts out, and Hassan is responsible for the bullshit he puts out. And Hassan's bullshit was not calling for violence on Hila. He was making a much greater, much more important stance. So I don't want, and I think this is very important, you have got to stop assuming content creators are married like that. Okay? Because everything I've seen from Hassan, and I don't watch him like that. So I'm, again, because I have other things to focus on than men on the internet talking to microphones. Okay? It's like, I don't even think they're besties like that. I don't even think they're like, Chetty's even saying, yeah, they're not even friends like that. They're not even friends like that. So I am not going to hold Hassan accountable for what Bad Empanada does. Or vice versa. Like, that's not interesting to me. But based off of the context of this clip, Hassan wasn't saying anything that egregious. Okay? That's it. Chad says, Brit, well, I agree. Hate and violence never help. As we move late stage capitalism to late stage capitalism, and I think about the populace, when the populace used to end kings and queens, I wonder sometimes if it's the only answer, as if humans are almost inherently violent as mammals. Look, we're all going to die. and no one is morally obligated to be a good person. But I think you have no right to say that you are one if you're not actively working to be better without ever attempting to be perfect. You either hold yourself to a higher standard or you don't. I'm not interested in your political games. I do not think it's the answer. And I think as long as greedy fucking loser people spend their life being obsessed with politics and using people's bodies, homes, lives, okay, as little fodders in their chess game, the world's never going to heal. Reasonable, liberation-focused violence might be necessary, but you act like it's ever been helpful. We're getting better on the macro, but right now, for such an intelligent, amazing society, the world is suffering so many unnecessary deaths. And I'm tired. So make a decision in your own life how you want to show up. I will always be ready to fight. I will always be ready to defend myself. I will never be eager, though, to see the world suffer unnecessarily. And as long as we focus and think about the world through a political lens, we will only suffer more. Okay? That's it. We will only suffer more. And that's the point.
Will you consider it to be something beyond online gossip slop when I either get deplatformed or when I get killed, potentially?
With Hassan saying it's the goal of the people going after him to get him banned and fully deplatformed. And in terms of platforms and deplatforming, in the video that Ethan ended up posting on Monday, he took aim at what content Twitch platforms in general, arguing that the site allows too many calls for political violence, including from Hassan. And then with that, suggesting that since neither Twitch or Amazon are doing anything, the sponsors who advertise there should.
If you use Twitch, if you're watching, when you get an ad, write them and say, hey, I would like to know why you're spending directly your dollars to support violent extremism. Why are you supporting a platform that...
This is crazy. P.S. If you guys have anything, clarification about what I said, or you have questions, ask me, because I know people take people out of context, but I have very strong values when it comes to what I think I need to do as a person. I am never making prescriptions. I am never telling you what to do with your life. I'm only telling you what I'm doing with my life. So Ethan is making a prescription in this moment. He is telling his audience what to do. And this is the difference. I will never tell you what to do. I will just tell you what I've been doing and what I think is good. Example, I don't shop at Amazon. I'm plant-based. I'm letting you know that I'm doing it because I'm living by example, but I'm never going to tell you to do that because you're going through it. You're on your own journey. You might not get there. Okay, but that's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm doing to harm reduce in my own life. Ethan is now making a prescription, encouraging his audience to go and report people. This is the frustration. Chat says you're giving us option. Exactly. I am giving you options, and I want you to take those options. We need more options, not less. Chat says, how do you feel about deplatforming? Who should be deplatformed? That's a very difficult question to answer. But I think we should talk about standards. What standard do we want to set in society, and what should that look like? And the dilemma is we're arguing about that standard. Okay? I think it's reasonable for people to be deplatformed when they've gone too far, but I also think it's shocking that we even have to have these conversations because we don't know where the line is. Don't you think it's more interesting that we don't know where the line is? Don't you think that's more interesting? Because I do. I think that's much more interesting that we cannot tell where the line is in the sand. But obviously, like, I'm not mad to see certain people go. You know what I mean? I'm not mad about it. But also, I think it's kind of interesting. Like, I think it's kind of interesting that Myron and Fresh and Fit can have a rapist on their podcast and brag about a gang rape and then still be on the platform. Like, I think that's so interesting. I think it's interesting that conservatives to get on YouTube and talk about being transphobic and homophobic. I think it's interesting that we live in a world where, like, bigotry is so normalized, we actually don't know where the line is. Bigotry is so normalized because it is a part of our human condition, which is why you have to deconstruct. You know? Chess says, Brittany, do you believe that way of thinking is safe for people living in violent communities? What way of thinking? Violence? Everybody is in a position where their circumstance will lead to different action, right? But until we start healing, it's never going to change. So if you're in a position where the culture is XYZ and you never attempt to change the culture, then it will just continue. And that's why some people are willing to die for their values, because some of us are saying, hey, if we don't actually put our life on the line, like no one's going to understand how important this is. Do you understand that every time a trans person comes into the public sphere and says, I'm trans, they are putting their life on the line? People take it for granted so much when you see trans people on the internet, because you don't understand how transphobic the world is. Every time a new trans person, every time a new person comes on the internet and says, I've had an abortion, I'm trans, I'm gay, there is a risk involved there that people are not processing. That is so scary for most people that they haven't even done it yet. Why do you think we don't hear? Like, I know the internet makes it feel like everybody is trans, but I need you to know, if the actual amount of trans people who exist in the world could come out, you would be shocked at the numbers. The amount of queer people who could come out, you would be shocked with the numbers. And I need you to process that information, right? Just as Britt, are you saying that if violence is called for in a protection way, it's fine, but resisting violence ideology and trying to eradicate it is the goal? Okay. Do you think if a person calls you the F word, you should stab them in the middle of a Walmart? You're at Walmart, you're shopping for vegetables. Somebody calls you the F word. Do you think you then have the right to stab them or shoot them? Do you think it's moral? Do you think it's ethical? Do you think it makes the world a better place to stab and kill people for saying slurs? Okay, I have one person who said yes in chat. Okay, do you think a person who's dying from an ectopic pregnancy has the right to terminate that fetus, or what some people might call a baby, in order to survive that pregnancy? Do you think a person who has an ectopic pregnancy has the right to end that life from continuing to exist in order to save their life? Okay. All right. Do we believe that if I'm walking down the street and somebody comes and hits me in the face, I have the right to chase after them and hit them back, or at least hold them until the cops come? Okay. Do you believe that if you're walking down the street and someone hits you in the face, you have the right to pursue them and hit them back or subdue them until the police come? Okay. A regular dude from the bar steps out or from a shopping center and hits you. Okay. Ooh, oh, I like that this one was tougher for you guys. Okay. How about this one? This one, oh, this one's a little, iffy for you guys. Okay. Some of you said no, some of you said maybe. Okay. Now, you're walking down the street and you've got your child in the stroller and someone comes and hits your baby in the face. Do you have the right to pursue that person and subdue them? Should you pursue that person and subdue them, actually? Because that would mean abandoning your baby in the stroller to go subdue that person. But you probably think, yes, I want to defend my baby, but in order to pursue that person who hit your baby, you would have to abandon your baby on the sidewalk. Right? So then the question is, okay, when we're in situations, what do we do? This is why we do the trolley problem. This is what philosophy is. It's about having a conversation about what we think is right under circumstances. And we take all of the things into consideration. We take it all into consideration for how the law should interact with it, how citizens should interact with it, how we as individuals should interact with it. Okay? And this is the dilemma we're having with all of these conversations. So when you ask a question, should people be violent? You're not asking a real question. You're asking what feels like a real question. Okay? It feels like you're asking but you're not asking anything. It's not a real question to say, do you think 2 women should raise a child? You're not asking a question. You think you're asking a question, but it's not. This is why conservatives drive me crazy. You're not actually asking a real question. So when we sit here and talk about ethics, one of the things that I actually am very good at is getting it down to the individual situation. What do the individuals involved do? What can they do with the skills they have? What does it even make sense for them to do? Okay? And you have to meet people where they are at and give them better tools to make different decisions later. So the dilemma again is like when we ask ourselves these questions, we have to think about what we think the answer, why we're even looking for the answer in the first place. Okay? So again, when I talk about violence and the necessary use of violence, I'm saying to have that conversation, we would have to deconstruct what God is here. What does violence even mean in the context? And then what does it even move us towards? Because remember, everybody has a reason to engage in violence, whether you claim it's violence or not. If we talk about violence being harm done to another person or living creature, we all engage in violence every day, especially if you eat meat. Okay? And so the idea is like you might not directly kill the animal, but you engage in an industry that kills that animal so you can eat it. So you are, in the same way that I pay taxes towards countries to commit genocides. Not happy about it. But I've never committed a genocide. I've never killed anybody. And so that's one thing I can say for myself is even though I pay money towards a country that commits a genocide, I have never participated in that. And the difference is like, do you know in which ways you have directly engaged in behavior and in which ways you indirectly have engaged in behavior, right? And so that's what I want you to do, right? Chet says, well, you are participating. Yes, but did you not hear what I just said? Maybe you didn't hear me yet. Maybe the stream is delayed. Every human being engages in harm. Every single living creature on the planet, non-human animal and animal, participates in harm. The question is, and this is why I say, don't go out and try to be a good person. Try to be less bad every day. That's what I'm saying. Try to be less bad every day. But full participation is not the same. Doing the rape and watching the rape is not the same, but both are very bad. Okay? Engaging in trying to scam people out of their money by selling them a faulty product is bad. Okay? It's the worst. Engaging in living under capitalism is a part of survival. We have to understand like there's a difference. Okay? Like again, and chat says being a pacifist at that time made me a bigger target. I want to make it abundantly clear. I am not a pacifist. This is the philosophical difference. I am not a pacifist. Okay? Pacifism as a philosophy system doesn't make sense. Okay? It's not good. It's a bad system. Okay? This is what I'm trying to get people to understand. Like you can't even start to believe the options you have if you don't even know they're available to you. Tao Te Ching, number 31, avoid war. Among all tools, weapons alone are cursed. All men come to despise them. Those who follow Tao do not need them. Weapons are not the tools of the wise. Only as a last resort do the wise use them. Peace and tranquility are valued by wise rulers. Even when victorious in battle, they do not rejoice, for they never exult over the killing of others. The killing of others fills the people with sorrow. We lament with tears because of it and honor the victors solemnly. You know what I'm saying? As if we are attending a funeral. As if we are attending a funeral. If you kill somebody, even in self-defense, you better mourn their death. Mourn the loss of life and the fact that we had to get there in the first place. You do not mourn enough for me. Humans are not sad enough for me. You're not angry enough for me, and you're not sad enough for me. You are literally not angry enough about the injustices in the world, and you are not sad enough and mourning enough over the destruction that we have to take place in, that we have to engage in. Chet says, does mourning absolve us? It's not about absolving you. We're not Christ absolving you of your sins through confession. We're not absolving you. We're paying back to the community. We're giving back to the community. We're holding ourselves accountable. We're doing right by the community. We're doing right by the world. We're doing right by the world. We're doing right by ourselves. You know? We're allowing ourselves to understand the impact of what we're doing. You know? We're understanding the impact. And we are making an impact. Okay? Chad says, do you think social media desensitizes people to the sadness and mourning humans used to be capable of? Which humans? The ones that enslaved Africans and came to the United States? The ones that killed and genocided the Native Americans? Which ones? Which ones? Which humans? When? Nothing good ever happened before. Everything good happens now. Humans are more kind and more compassionate than they've ever been, and I need you to swallow that pill without water. We are the best we've ever been. Process that and go home and meditate on it. This is the best we've ever been. And if you think it's bad now, oh girl, it was never better than it is now. Okay? And I need you to know that's why you can't stop. Because in 500 years from now, people will look back and remember this time. And it's either you did the right thing or you didn't. And that's why I say we're not doing anything for us now. We're doing it for the future. I'm not doing anything I'm doing now for the kids now. They're fucked. We're fucked. I'm doing it for them. The next 20 years are going to be very hard. We're in the bad times for a lot of us. You know, America is one of those things. I was just talking to my partner about this because I live in Europe. As you guys know, I live in Croatia. America is like this developing country in a sense. Like, it's for such a privileged superpower, its people are suffering so immensely. And yet on a global scale, we are so privileged. You know? Chad says, I can accept that, but we have less community. No, I'm speaking more to our apathy, maybe. We do not have less community. This is propaganda. This is propaganda. We do not have less community. We have smaller communities that don't allow the predator to come to the get-together. Fuck your community. Your community of the past was not mentioning that somebody was a pedophile at the dinner table, so you would have that community. I'm good. Yeah, our communities are smaller, but I have community. You have to make community. These villages that we all romanticize, going back to a day where we all had this community, you mean the community that was homophobic and transphobic? You mean the community that was racist? You mean the community that is now smaller because we literally can't sit at the table anymore with people? Okay? Chad says, I don't know, girl. I think a lot of people have no community. And you should be celebrating it and realizing you are still a part of that lack of community. I am so sick of people saying, I don't have a community. Do you make friends? Do you go outside? Do you talk to people? Do you meet people with similar values? And then what do you think a community looks like? You know what I mean? Chad says the fact that you have a community doesn't mean that people in general aren't more isolated. What does that even mean, girl? I have a community and I have lived in Croatia for 2 years, seeing only my partner every day and my in-laws. And yet I say I have a community. I identify as somebody who has community, even though I literally live isolated from my family and friends because I live in a different country. I don't have any friends here on purpose, but I have community. I have a whole slew of community. I make effort. We have date calls every Saturday. I'm calling all my friends and catching up with people. I make an effort. I say happy birthday. I pay attention to people. I try to update, like, hey, what's going on in your life? Tell me what's going on. It takes effort. I have my third place. I have my Patreon. I have my YouTube. That's fun. But when I'm not working and I'm offline, I have a community because I make an effort to maintain that community. And it does take work. I don't know why everyone thinks community doesn't take work. And it starts with your parents as well. Your parents need to raise you with community. This is why I always tell people I was homeschooled till I was 15. And the one thing my parents gave me was community. They gave me so much community. Friends, family, get-togethers. They would hold potlucks in the neighborhood and invite everybody over. How many times have you ever done that? How many of your neighbors' names do you know? Because when I moved into apartment buildings throughout my life, I always took cookies to my adjoining neighbors and introduced myself. How many times have you done that in your life? How many times have you been the neighbor somebody can ask for flour or eggs? That's community. You have to be a participant. It does not come to you. Okay? That's the problem. If you don't have it, you have to decide if you're going to start getting it. You're going to have to start figuring out how do we build it. And it's going to be subjective to you and your ideal situation. As an example, I saw Chelsea Fagan talk about this on TikTok. Okay. Chelsea Fagan was saying she doesn't like that some of her friends or some people's friends don't stay with their other friends when they're in town. I will tell you this. My community is a place where you can offer people a space, but obviously I'd rather get a hotel. For Chelsea, she wanted people to stay at her apartment because she felt like that was the good part of the community. But for me, as a very introverted person with my partner, we would rather have our own apartment. We would rather have our own hotel. My parents asked us like, hey, if you come to America, you can stay in our guest room. That's very nice. Thank you. I'm not going to stay there. Because one, it's probably mostly because they're conservative and we're not. And we don't want to have to sit in their living room while they watch Fox News at night. But we're still going to show up. We're still going to participate with limitations because we're open with boundaries. Okay. Chad says, Habiti, a lot of people also don't have a culture that promotes community. I think you had a good base on which you put in the work and built it. A lot of people don't have that. And I think that, okay, you need to everybody always talks about dismantling the system, fighting the patriarchy, fucking over racism, and you guys can't even fucking make friends? Please be so serious right now. Are we, like, we need to recontextualize what it means to make friends, recontextualize what it means to have community. You're out here sitting talking about liberating fucking Palestinians from being genocided. You guys can't even make friends? The world has problems, y'all, and your problems are real. But please fucking focus on being a participant in that problem and solution building. You have to solution build, okay? You have to solution build. Instead of saying, oh, you already have a community, you don't know what it's like, ask yourself, how did you form the community? Ask yourself before you have kids, have I guaranteed a community for my kids? Ask yourself, how do I bring people together before I have this baby? Am I sure we have a village? That's what I'm asking you. Do you understand that if you are struggling, it is because something went wrong before you even came into the universe, but you might be the only one to break this generational curse, this generational trauma. Okay? That's what I'm trying to say. Somebody has to do it. It's got to be you. And if you don't want to do it, no fucking wonder the world sucks. And I say this as an older daughter and the person who's trying to break generational trauma in her family. It is fucking work. I sweat at night. I cry at night. It's struggle. No, I don't cry every night, girl. I don't have time for that. But you know, it's a struggle, girl. I cry sometimes. Okay? We have to do the work. It doesn't come out of nowhere. It's like a relationship you're dating. It's not just gonna, you have to work at it. You have to participate in the union. Okay? Chet says, I feel like you're taking it too personal. I'm not complaining and agree with you, but people are still struggling because of their environment, and we acknowledge that. When you say to somebody, I think you're taking it too personal, you're saying this has something to do with my life. I'm saying, okay, you're not angry enough for me. You're not angry enough for me. Where is your sense of justice? You see this as me taking it personal instead of you don't understand that this is my sense of justice. I am trying to get you to hear me when I say the power is in your hands. You are the key to your liberation. And what you hear instead is that I don't hear you. Instead, what I say to you is you are buried under the rubble of your own ignorance, and you are choosing to remain ignorant, and then you're wondering why the world sucks. Get out of your own way and liberate yourself and be the change you want to see. You know how they say that, girl. Okay? It is hard. It's not easy. That's why it's not happening. The world can't have a loneliness epidemic, and then you're telling me that it's hard. Of course it's hard, Habibi. Did you think it was going to be easy? Did you think it was going to be easy? If it was easy, wouldn't it already have happened? Would it not have happened? Would it not have already happened? Of course it's hard. It's the hardest thing you're ever going to do. And it's the hardest thing the world's ever going to do. We cannot keep pointing to the world and saying, hey, why is the world suffering? And then say, like, I can't even have friends right now. You can't even have friends right now. Well, no wonder the world's suffering. And I'm saying you can heal. You can get better. You can do the work, and people can help you. You are not going to do it alone. I am trying to help you. I'm trying to be your community right now. I'm trying to be the community for you right now, and you won't let me. Let me be your parasocial community. And let me tell you, being a community member means you have to do your part. But see how hard it is? See how hard it is? You won't even let me help you. Okay? All right, let's go back to our favorite toxic community, this one. Because remember how they tried to build a community? Girl, don't even get me started, girl.
Sanctions, protects, safeguards, encourage, promotes language like what Hassan just deployed against Hila.
But ultimately, that's where we are right now. And
That's it. That's the story. I forgot it was so short. That is the whole story. Look, we ended it. Listen to me when I say this. Nothing I am proposing is easy. Fighting transphobia, fighting homophobia, fighting fascism, none of it is easy. But a girl, if you can't figure out friendship, you're not going to be able to handle fascism. Let me tell you. All right, girls, if you can't figure out your own fucking life, I don't know why you're out here talking about fascism. Fascism is okay. It's a little harder than fighting friends, let me tell you. Okay? Crazy. Just absolute crazy story of a community of men who do everything in their power to be fucking destructive. Okay? Ethan and Destiny. I'm talking about Ethan and Destiny. Okay? So anyways, listen to me. You have to know your category of people. You have to know how close of a friendship you need from people. And you have to know the role people play in your life. Every single person comes into your life for a reason. That's a little woo-woo, but stay with me here. And then you got to figure out what role are they going to play in your life. Maybe they're temporary. Maybe they're a coworker. Maybe they're a lover. Maybe they're a forever person. Maybe they're, who knows? But really value the person as a consciousness. I like how chat said, wait, where is it? Chat said, you don't make friends, you recognize them. I love that. Okay? Yeah. It's not just about finding friends. It's about really loving the consciousness. Like really saying hey, I vibe with you. I fuck with you. Do you want to hang out? Do you want to bond? Do you want to get closer? Hey, is it okay if we get only this close? Negotiate. Hey, I really like you. I wish I had more times for close friends, but I actually don't. Is it okay that we become kind of mutuals? Is it okay that we negotiate? Maybe we talk every 6 months and then realize over time that this takes an effort. Okay? That takes effort. Question says, do you think making communities online parasocially is more harmful than good based off of what we see right now, causing disconnect from your physical community? I love my online communities. I am autistic. Online communities have been a saving grace for me. I'm a big proponent. I tell my real life friends who are struggling with community to join the internet. I do. My real life friends who are I'm struggling to find community, I'm join a Discord. Join a Discord. Do both. Do both. And also, this is something I realized about myself. I am not a group activity girly. I like a group activity, but I'm a one-on-one girly. I like one-on-one friendships. Okay? Know yourself. Know yourself to know, are you the one-on-one girly or are you a group activity girly? Because you are not going to see me playing pickleball. Okay? I would rather chop off my arms than go play pickleball. Let me tell you. Okay? I am not that girl. But if you ask for a one-on-one coffee date, I'm there. One-on-one, I'm good. Pickleball? Absolutely not. So you have to know with yourself, which one are you? Who are you? Oh, and FYI, guys, the reason the world is it's struggling so deeply is because nobody knows themselves. Nobody knows what they want, how to be healthy, what their goals are. And certainly nobody knows their values. Okay? Certainly nobody knows their values. So this is why, by the way, when I exited this space on the internet, everybody was deeply confused because they mistook my participation in the bubble as being a part of it. Girl, I was visiting, I saw, I did not like it, I left. Okay? And what I'm saying is you're going to have to do that too. You're going to have to join bubbles that you realize are toxic and you don't like it and you're going to have to get out. It is going to be a struggle, like dating. You're going to have to kiss a few frogs, girls. You're going to have to bump uglies with a few friends before you're You're going to have to meet up with the wrong people. Okay? Friendship is as valuable as any other type of relationship. It should be valued accordingly. Respect the person you are bonding with. And respect them enough to tell them, I'm not vibing. Okay? Because a lot of y'all have settling relationships with your friends. A lot of you are settling for your friends. You need to think about that. Okay? Think about values. Think about the consciousness. Think about the value of the connection. Okay? And realize we're in a hot mess. We're deconstructing. The world is a hot mess and we're just starting to deconstruct. Remember that we are in this great growth spurt right now and we are seeing a great change. So as you make new friends, make sure you make new friends with similar values. And that's why I always said, I don't want to be friends with YouTubers. I've said this 1,000 times, over a billion times. Most of the YouTubers I meet, I don't want to be your friend. I want coworkers. Even on YouTube, I can't find healthy coworkers, though I have found a few. Thank goodness. Women, of course, not binary people, of course. Okay. But like the point is that I am looking for community that knows its place. A work community that has boundaries, a friend community that has boundaries, a social hobby community that has boundaries. Okay? We are all trying to find our place in the universe. And it is very, 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 very hard. It is very hard. Okay? So please, understand that nothing I'm saying is going to be easy. But life never was going to be for anybody. Everybody suffers. The only thing I can recommend is to suffer wisely. That's it. Learn to suffer wisely. Healing is a big part of that, okay? Healing is a big part of that. All right, anything else on this topic before we move on? That Mormon dating show is going viral. We got to talk about it. Let me see. Did I miss anything? Yeah, I don't see any other comments that I might need to comment on. So if you guys are good. Chet says people romanticize community before, but don't realize they were forced to have them, and many of them weren't in the right community because of access. Exactly. Now we have more of a choice, and that's the paralyzation of choice, funny enough. The problem with choice is that we actually don't like it. We actually fumble. Human beings actually do very bad in it, and that's why Apple only gives you so many options for the iPhone. Because we really do struggle to make a choice, and I'm saying it's easier to make a choice when you know who you are. That's why I say get to know who you are, and choices will become very easy. It will become a lot easier.